welcome to the History Fella channel. In today's video we're looking at Richard the Lionhearted. All English school children learn about this great king who reigned from 1189 to 1199. He earned the title Coeur de Lion, or Lionheart, as he was a brave soldier, a great crusader, and won many battles against Saladin, the leader of the Muslims who was occupying Jerusalem at the time. But was he really one of the greatest kings of England, or one of the worst? It appears that he hadn't got much interest in being king. In his 10 years as monarch, he spent a few months in England, and it was doubtful he could actually speak the English language. He once remarked that he would have sold the whole country if he could have found a buyer. Fortunately, he couldn't find anyone with the necessary funds. Richard was the son of King Henry II and Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine. He spent much of his youth in his mother's court of Poitiers. During the last years of Henry's reign, Queen Eleanor constantly plotted against him. Encouraged by their mother, Richard and his brothers campaigned against their father in France. King Henry was defeated in battle and surrendered to Richard. 2 days later, Henry died, and on July the 6th, 1189, Richard became King of England, Duke of Normandy, and Count of Anjou. After his coronation, Richard, having taken the Crusaders' vow, set out to join the Third Crusade to free the Holy Land from Saladin, the leader of the Kurds. Whilst wintering in Sicily, Richard was met by his mother, along with a potential bride-to-be, Berengaria of Navarre. He initially resisted the match. On the way to the Holy Land, part of Richard's fleet was wrecked off Cyprus. The island's ruler, Isaac I, made the mistake of upsetting Richard by badly treating his surviving crews. Richard had landed in Rhodes, but immediately sailed back to Cyprus, where he defeated and deposed Isaac. Whether it was the magic of the island, the heightened senses from his victory, or something else entirely, it was in Cyprus that Richard relented and married Berengaria of Navarre. An unlikely place perhaps for an English king to get married. Nevertheless, Berengaria was crowned Queen of England and Cyprus. Richard continued with the crusade, landing and taking the city of Acre on the 8th of June 1191. Whilst reports of his daring deeds and exploits in the Holy Land excited the folks back home and in Rome, in reality he failed to achieve the main objective, which was to regain control of Jerusalem. So, in early October, after concluding a 3-year peace deal with Saladin, he set off alone on the long journey home. During the journey, Richard was shipwrecked in the Adriatic and eventually captured by the Duke of Austria. A heavy ransom was demanded for his release. Kings apparently do not come cheap, though, and in England it took a quarter of every man's income for a whole year to raise the funds for Richard's release. He eventually returned to England in March 1194. However, he didn't spend much time in England and spent the rest of his life in France, doing what he seemed to enjoy doing most of all: fighting. It was while besieging the castle of Chalais in France that he was shot by a crossbow bolt in the shoulder. Gangrene set in, and Richard ordered the archer who had shot him to come to his bedside. The archer's name was Bertram, and Richard gave him 100 shillings and set him free. King Richard died at the age of 41 from this wound. The throne passed to his brother John. A sad end for Lionheart. and alas, also poor Bertram, the archer. Despite the king's pardon, he was flayed alive and then hanged.